Hello, hello, Derek. Great to be here.
Hey, Katie, it's wonderful to see you again. And you have literally taken the show on the road this week.
I have. I am here in Minneapolis. It's a little bit colder than Las Vegas, but I'm here at the XY Planning Network conference. Pretty wild to be back here. I haven't been to an XY Planning conference since 2014 when there were only like 8 of us and it was attached to FinCon.
I have a sneaking suspicion it's a much larger event in 2024.
Much larger, which is great to see.
That's
Great to see
great.
so many advisors, so many creative advisors, and
Yeah,
that's what we're diving into today. Is yet another creative advisor. Should we just go ahead and share this post we're looking at today?
absolutely. So, our thanks to Carlo for reaching out to us. The question here is, how do I get more engagement? And how do I use social media to not just create engagement, but also create new business? So, we want to take a look at the post that Carlo shared with us and give some suggestions on what you can be doing to use social media more effectively.
Yeah, we're going to look at, as always, what's working, what's not working. Certainly, definitely starting by celebrating the creativity here, but we would love to hear from
Yeah.
those of you that are hopping in and joining us as you're looking at this. When you're scrolling through social media, this is all you're going to see in that initial feed. You're just going to see the F word, and then you see it says more, so you have to hit more, and then this very fun, witty little video clip of Carlo. So we'd love to hear from you guys. What do you think this post is about? What are your initial impressions of this?
What is the F word, right? And again, I want to say, as we're giving you a little bit of time to weigh in the chat, this is another great example of an advisor really bringing a creative spark to their content. And so you can see it. That video is absolutely wonderful in terms of the wit and the sense of humor. But again, this is a post that didn't generate the type of engagement you would expect a post that is so inviting would do, right?
Yep. So we've got Kim was
Carlo.
like, right? Carlo, I think you're right. Fish. We all love fish. Definitely looking at that. I'm like, he's going fishing. I love it. I love it. So let's take a look at the full post here. And what is the F word that we're talking about?
It's
Not that
fees.
F word. It's fees.
Which is a great opening, and this really is, I think, one of the strengths of the caption on this post, and I think that's an important distinction for us to make. We're dealing with a piece of content here that is meant to have both a caption, so you have copy, and a video. And in an ideal world, when you're really doing it well, those two things are working seamlessly to create or to reinforce the message or the story that you're telling. And so it's a great lead. It's a wonderful way to get people into the post. However, Katie, as you and I were talking about, it seems as though, and we can see this transpire in the post, the see more, right, or the more button with the
Yep.
ellipsis is really required in this case. You see, and we see this quite a bit with social media posts, particularly on LinkedIn. At some point, somebody put the advice out there that this was the strategy to get people to click the more or see more button, which leads to more unique impressions.
Yep.
But as with any gimmick, it indicates subtly to your reader or viewer that the content itself isn't doing the work. And so I would caution advisors from employing this particular tactic. Let the content do that work of inviting your reader or viewer into the experience so that they feel inclined to engage. Don't simply bait them with a hook to get them to click the button to reward you with a new, unique impression.
Well, and we can also see, and Derek, I can't believe we're going to be coming up on 5 minutes already here in a second. We have so many things we want to say about this, but we can see down here at the bottom, right? There are a lot of people that are laughing.
Yes.
Right. So that also tells us, because when you just see this, right, and see Carlo's, adorable video there, then you're like, hey, I want to react. And so they reacted
Yeah.
with laughter. But when we actually dive into the real content, the long form content, it isn't funny, right? It isn't meant to be funny. And so as we
Yes.
kind of scroll through this, and look at, apologies for that, look at the next thing, we start to kind of like get a lot of content here. And we've got, who are they? Or what are they? Why do they exist? Like all this stuff. And one of the things to think about when people are on social media and in that scrolling mode, when there's just too much going on and you're asking the viewer to kind of do too much work, they're going to opt out and not do any work. And they're going to just stop reading the post.
Well, and you also bring up a great point, Katie, in that we get you, right? We get that second person address fairly early on in the post. That's an excellent strategy to employ. However, who exactly is the you in this case? And
Yeah.
that, if you wind up reading through the post, gets confused. And again, I applaud the impulse to not just educate clients, not to put content behind a paywall, but to freely give in order to then get in return. This is a wonderful example of providing free advice to educate not just your clients, but a much wider audience. However, it isn't clear in this post who the audience of one is. And that's one of the things that you want to do. And Katie, you had a really great suggestion in terms of being able to both combat that sort of gimmicky open that really
Yeah.
baits the hook and clarifying the you and aligning it with Carlo's ideal client.
Yeah, well, as I was reading through this, I instantly thought, I was like, okay, what would I have rather seen right in that top hook? And when I got to this line right here, I was like, that is doing what we should be aiming to do in all of our marketing and content. It starts with storytelling.
Mhm.
And so this is a great opportunity because, Carlo, it's likely you have actually heard this from one of your clients or prospects. And so putting this right there above the fold, right? So then we know what the F
Yeah.
word is. And then it's going to trigger people's brains and they're going to say, but the person at the bank did tell me I pay no fees. Right. And
Right.
like you look very friendly and welcoming and then tell a story about, hey, I was just talking with a client. And then, Derek, I want to get into your point of like breaking this up into many different posts, because with that, you can just identify exactly who that target client is and what you walked through, right? From somebody that didn't think they were paying fees and give an actual example of what fees they were paying. That way it really solidifies it and makes people go, oh, wow, I should call Carlo. And I identify with, being the target audience and this situation.
Well, and also too, so one of the other points is Jessica. Thank you for the comment. One of the other points here, if you would do us a favor, if you would keep scrolling, you
Yes.
had mentioned this. Remember, this is a post that leads with a video. This is a lot of content. This is a lot of copy for a caption for what ultimately is a video post. So this is a great opportunity, as you had said, Katie, to chunk this content. Carlo, and this is true for anyone else who's writing in longer form like this, you really have, for each of those bullet points you've included, you have an entire series of posts that you could build out from just that one bullet point here. And I think that would give you a wonderful opportunity to drip this content out in a more digestible form while
Yeah.
continuing to follow through on that educational impulse. At the same time, it also gives you the opportunity, because long form content has its place. Quite often, that place is on your website. So, what a great opportunity to chunk this into multiple posts, creating those short videos that you can then caption with an excerpt from that longer form. Say it's a blog article, right? Say it's a series of blog articles. That also then gives you the opportunity in the comments to create a link to the full version of that long form content and move people between your LinkedIn profile and your website. So you're integrating your content marketing in that case.
Yeah, and I think another big thing we hit on as we were looking at this, Derek, is also, we've got a lot of jargon happening here.
Yeah.
I've been in the profession for going on 20 years, and I don't recall, it being referred to as like a management expense ratio, which maybe it is, and I've just forgotten. But nevertheless, then we've got MER throughout,
Right.
and so then you have to like go back when you scroll down, you're like, well, wait, what was MER? And you're going back up there and we're talking about it. And it's, then we get into point 2 here, when compensation is stripped from the MER, the advisor will be paid by charging this fee. Like, I kept getting confused.
Yeah.
And so the other thing we need to think about, even if you're working with very successful, highly paid, highly educated people, they don't understand this. That's why they, come to advisors. And so we really want to make sure that we're always kind of speaking at that 9th grade level, right? If we're working with a doctor, we don't want to hear all their technical medical jargon. We want them to just tell us, exactly what's going on.
Yeah. Well, and again, it's a wonderful opportunity to demonstrate not just your expertise, but your relatability. In being able to cut
Yes.
through the jargon in that way, you're going to appeal to the clients you're looking to reach, and they're going to appreciate all of the additional effort you've taken to break it down and walk it back for them so that they don't get lost in those particular ways.
Yeah. So I think we're at 11 minutes here. Keena, glad you liked the great points. Carlo, thanks for chiming in. Glad that was helpful advice. And again, this is applicable whether you're doing podcasts or writing on social media, video. Like the medium doesn't matter, right? It's the key things that are all themes throughout everything we talk about here on the 10-minute marketing makeover. Make sure it's really, really clear who your target audience is.
Yeah.
Use storytelling in everything. Make sure you're speaking, Derek, I love that word, relatable, in a way that people can relate to. You want people to always be able to see themselves in your content. You want the people you want to see themselves, right? And the people that aren't the right fit, you want them to look and you do want them to say, oh, that isn't for me, because it isn't, right? You don't want to be attracting everyone. And so once you're more clear with that, then, people will engage and you can ask for engagement. But if you're doing the right storytelling, you're doing the right content, they'll just engage because they want to. And they were compelled to almost.
Absolutely. And again, there's so much to applaud in this post. So, Carlo, thank you so much for not
Thank
just
you.
giving us the opportunity to dive into this particular piece of content, but to provide these takeaways and these insights. You're doing great work, and we're both really excited to see what this looks like going forward.
Yeah, and truly, I mean, Derek, I think as we were talking about, we're like, Carlo, you have a month's worth of content here, like Derek said, right? So we would love to see this coming out. I think it'll create a lot of engagement, right? Just make sure you're using that storytelling, and keep it up, man. You're doing great. And this is what we all go through this. Start something, see if it works, tweak it, and keep on.
Absolutely. Well, listen, Katie, thanks for taking time out of your busy conference schedule for this week's episode. Can't wait to get back to continue our conversation next week. We're really, really excited for all of the comments, the questions. Advisors, please continue to reach out to us so we can provide you with the insights that you're looking for when it comes to your marketing.
Yep, just like Carlo gave us content for this episode, that's what we're here for. So if you guys have something you tried, didn't work, send it to us and we'll queue it up for a future episode.
Great. Katie, enjoy the rest of the conference. We'll see you